Hello friend, I want to tell you about the BMW E46 car. A car that used to be seen as a synonym for luxury, and by others as a car that was a class above average. Today it no longer indicates the status of the owner, and according to many, it is instead a sign of poor taste. However, let's abandon stereotypes and try to assess the car coolly. The fact is that regardless of the body type, the third-generation E46 series is a nice model and above all timeless, and if well-maintained, it does not lose its attractiveness with age. It is worse with functionality. BMW 3 Series E46 Design. In terms of design, the BMW E46 is a typical mid-range car with rear-wheel drive. The engines are placed longitudinally. Behind them is the gearbox, which transfers torque via a shaft to the rear axle, which is an independent axle. It is worth noting that the car with more powerful engines could be equipped with four-wheel drive. It was not present in the 320D version described here. The chassis has a multi-link suspension, which was probably the most appreciated element of the 3 Series. It was not only fun to drive, but also provided high travel comfort. Some say it is even too soft. The steering system may not be too light, but it guarantees a good feel of the car. Engines. In the BMW 3 Series E46, the range of powertrains for the BMW 3 Series is very rich. The manufacturer slowly introduced 4-cylinder units with this model, replacing the old 6-cylinder ones, although they were not completely abandoned. However, the biggest change was the diesel engine range. BMW debuted with modern 2.0 and 3.0 diesel engines. The larger one had a common rail injection system from the start, while the smaller one was previously powered by a classic injection pump. Common rail appeared in 2001. It is worth distinguishing the 2-liter engine with the designation M47, which appeared in 2 model designations, 320D and 318D. However, the differences depend on the year. The 318D until 2003 and the 320D until 2001 were smaller. Capacity 1,951 cubic centimeters and did not receive common rail injection. They had slightly weaker parameters, 116 horsepower and 136 horsepower respectively, and are still considered less prone to failures. Here, however, we will deal with the M47D 20TU variant with a capacity of 1,995 cubic centimeters and a power of 150 horsepower, the most common in this model. The same unit was also offered in the successor of the E46, the E90 model, until 2007. Importantly, there is also a 116 horsepower version of this engine, but less popular. The M47 engine is a controversial power unit about which you can find conflicting opinions. You may be surprised that many users and mechanics curse this engine, while others praise it and cannot imagine driving with another engine. Where's the truth? In the middle? Not at all. The truth lies with users who take care of their cars. What goes wrong in the BMW 320D? It is important to know that the 2-liter BMW diesel has strong parameters for its capacity. 150 horsepower may not be shocking, but 330 nanometers is already a value worthy of attention, especially since the variable geometry turbocharger can provide incredible flexibility, and the rather complicated design and common rail injection provide high work culture. All this can be further embellished with very low average fuel consumption at the level of 6.5 -7L 100 kilometers. One of the problems that BMW fans are well known for is the flaps in the intake manifold. These are swirl flaps that affect the airflow in the manifold and thus the characteristics of the drive unit. Opinions on them vary. Most users believe that they are not needed and only cause problems. BMW did not put much effort into selecting the materials from which the flaps and the axles on which they move are made. They can break off. The result, a damaged flap or part of it, gets stuck in the intake manifold, or even falls into the engine because they are located just before the inlet to the combustion chamber. In the worst case, this will end in the complete destruction of the drive unit. There is a company on the market that has created a solution to this problem. It is a special plug that is mounted in place of the flap itself. The effect is that the engine's operational culture drops slightly in the lower rev range, and the dynamics in this range also drop. So it is a half solution, a band-aid method, which does not eliminate the problem, but is an alternative to replacing the entire manifold with flaps. However, the story of the 2.0D engine does not end with flaps. Users experience other, quite costly failures. Due to the high torque and the quite extensive drive system, the dual-mass flywheel does not last too long during dynamic driving. The same can be said about the pulleys with torsional vibration damper. Their failure can end in the best-case scenario with the loss of air conditioning. In the worst case, the loss of charging. The chain-based timing drive is also not without its flaws. Of course, the manufacturer did not provide for its periodic replacement, but the chain of this drive unit can stretch quite early. The hydraulic tensioner is most often worn out. If it is replaced, the car returns to working order. If not, there is a risk of destroying the engine. There have even been cases of crankshaft cracks. Another topic is the variable geometry turbocharger, which is not particularly susceptible to wear, but on condition that the appropriate oil for this engine is regularly changed. Unfortunately, BMW service indications are very extended, and if the oil change is carried out in accordance with them, the turbocharger will quickly fail. This must be done every 10 to 15 kilometers. The remaining engine components have a durability similar to other designs. The E46 does not have a particulate filter. This is its only advantage, apart from performance, although some praise the overall durability of the unit. In reality, the M47 engine is not as bad as it is painted, but it does require good maintenance care. With regular oil changes every 10 kilometers and every time the timing drive is inspected, and the condition of the flaps and the intake manifold is checked, it will not cause problems for many years. The engine is not the only thing that can cause problems for the BMW E46 user. One of the more serious problems is the breaking off of the drive axle mounts. Specifically, it is the floor. But this problem was eliminated after the facelift. The BMW E46 has a very good suspension, which is unfortunately not cheap to maintain. In addition to the steering rod ends, the non-replaceable front wishbone pins wear out quickly. Replacing the wishbones themselves is expensive if you want to use parts from reputable companies, but there are already manufacturers on the market offering replacements with replaceable pins. Either way, buying them will affect your pocket. In the rear suspension, it is worth paying attention to the drive axle mount and its housing. If there are signs of leaks, this may indicate a lack of oil. Another matter is if the car was used intensively. Then you have to reckon with expensive repairs to the drivetrain, starting with the shaft support and ending with the replacement of the half shafts. The last element that requires care is the automatic gearbox. BMW used 3 types of gearboxes. The most popular is the American GM. It has the advantage of working very smoothly and quickly, but it requires care. Used incorrectly or not serviced, it can quickly give up, and its replacement is not cheap. In the 2.0D engine, however, it should last for a long time, but in combination with the more powerful 3.0D, it can quickly give up. The car is generally well protected against corrosion, but there are often examples where signs of this phenomenon appear on the doors or sills. This is the result of the accident history. Is it worth buying a BMW 320D E46 today? It depends. A safer solution would certainly be to find a BMW E46 with a petrol engine, but only if it is at least a 2-liter unit. It is worth breaking the barriers and buying a car with a larger 6-cylinder engine. They are very refined, durable, and relatively economical, and do not lose value as quickly as diesels. If we're talking about the $5,000 range, the E46 from the end of production is a better choice than the E90 from the beginning. It's a more durable, cheaper to repair, and better finished car. As for the diesel engine itself, the 330D is better than the 320D, although you have to pay a bit more for this version. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I didn't mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.